Yo, what's up everybody? On today's video, we're going to be comparing Naples, the Nappy City, to Fort Myers, We're in a 239, we're going to be comparing Fort Myers, which is essentially Lee County, so the Fort Myers metropolitan area, to Naples, the Collier County metropolitan area. These are both pretty much the same if you think about it as a metropolitan area. Naples wins overall with the vibes. The Naples Pier is a historic landmark of Florida. But you'll be surprised to know that despite the fact these cities are right next to each other, there's a lot of really huge differences. Naples wins when it comes to the vibes because of the beaches there are that incredible. The city is like a mecca for billionaires and millionaires. 1 in 10 people has over $1 million in the bank. The concentration of wealth and incredible natural settings means that when it comes to vibes, Naples is the clear winner. But will you be able to afford these vibes? On this video, we're going to break down the differences between Fort Myers and Naples, two cities that you may want to know the real differences between. And while they're geographically close to each other, in reality, they have two different speeds of life, two different ways, completely different cities, even though they're in the same geographical area. And on this video, I hope to educate you a little bit on the differences between Naples and Fort Myers. But as you can see here, Naples is absolutely a beautiful place, and there's a reason why Naples is so much more expensive, because it's that much more desirable. Completely full of wealth and extravagance, making Naples one of the most desirable places you can end up if you can actually afford it. A stomping ground for celebrities and other people of acclaim. When it comes to prominence, Naples really has a step above Fort Myers, which is more of a regular place. Not saying that there aren't wealthy people in Fort Myers, but Naples really has a different level when it comes to their ambiance, giving places like Palm Beach and Jupiter a run for their money. Even if the price tags are bigger in Palm Beach, they sure aren't as classy as Naples. From restaurants, things to do, absolutely the best vibes, coconut trees. Naples really has Fort Myers beat when it comes to vibes, and again, there's a reason why Naples is more expensive. When it comes to how desirable a place is, usually the price tag says it all. So where are the jobs, the economy? Where do you make the most money? Naples wins when it comes to jobs. And in fact, a vast majority of the people that live in the Fort Myers metropolitan area have to commute to the Naples area for work. And there's a massive traffic jam exodus out of Lee County in the morning on their way to Naples to work. And in the afternoon, everybody that works in Naples has to get their poor butts back to Lee County where they belong. Can't trust you poor people around here at night. And the Naples area really does provide good income. Now, these rich snobs are hard to get a penny out of. They care more about their money than their own lives at time. And getting money out of these old rich people and snobs down here is not easy, but at least there's something to bite off of. Because in Lee County, I've lived here for about a year, and today I'm considering closing down my junk removal business because living here in Lee County, Florida, the services that I made a living off of in Naples, people here just can't afford it. They can't afford to pay for services. They have to do it themselves. They have to deal with a broken sink in their duplex in Lehigh Acres. While the rich people in Naples are able to hire somebody, in Lee County, people are just living to the edge when it comes to their economy. They're pushing the budget so they can afford their mortgage. They might have a cousin or an uncle living in the garage to pay the mortgage or the rent, because that's how difficult life is in Lee County. But of course in Naples, those monetary stresses really don't exist. And if you live in Lee County, you make sure that you're able to drive to Naples for work, because there really are not that many opportunities in the Lee County area. Let's talk a little bit about nature, beaches, parks, things to do. When it comes to wildlife, Naples wins again. It is in the Florida Everglades. This region of the country is absolutely one of the most ecologically sound, diverse, and interesting areas, with an ecology that is almost endemic to this place and nowhere else in the world. Being way at the bottom, Naples really has access to the Florida Everglades. So if you enjoy fishing, going into nature trails, and being face to face with dangerous wildlife like Florida panthers, black bears, and many other things that will eat you, then living in Naples will give you an opportunity to have at your doorstep some of the most beautiful ecological regions you're going to find in the entire country. Really, if you are a nature lover, Naples has so much more to offer. If you enjoy outdoor activities like fishing or hiking, there are plenty of places for you to pass out in the heat. You'll have the opportunity to argue with game wardens about all types of rules and regulations and species because there's so much crap out here. Not even the game warden can keep up with all the rules and regulations that have to do with nature and the ecology out here. But if you enjoy viewing stuff and going out there and being in the wild, Naples is a very special place, especially if you like being on the water, waiting for an alligator to come out and snatch your head off while you're in there doing that, because you're not supposed to do that, but it's fun. Cost and affordability, Fort Myers is the clear winner. With areas like Cape Coral and Lehigh that are vast and massive, it allows more opportunity for a regular person to find a place to call home. And there are more areas that can be built up, so new communities are going in Lee County. There's almost no space left in Naples for this to continue happening, other than single-family homes in the Golden Gate Estates, unless they do some rezoning to some of the agricultural areas. And it is believed that because of the Florida panther habitat, this is not going to happen. So Lee County has the ability to offer you affordable housing because there's less regulations and more space to grow. 41 and Immokalee Road, there were tomato fields. Those days are long gone, and the entire Naples area is built up, and Lee County continues to grow. In fact, there's 2 times more people in Lee County than in Collier, and that should just be an indication of how much more affordable it is to live in Lee County. And currently they say that Southwest Florida is the least affordable place to live in the entire country. Alright, so let's talk about people. When it comes to people, Fort Myers wins. It seems like Fort Myers is just a regular place with regular people and a lot of diversity, while the people in Naples seem to have a very fancy, high-quality, premium stick. Naples is full of snobs, people that honk the horn, flick you off, very entitled. It takes a special type of patience to deal with the come basuras that you have to deal with in Naples on a daily basis. Over here in Lee County, it's just regular people. It seems that when people get to a certain level economically, they trade in their neutrons and protons and brain cells for money, and they just lose contact with the reality of being a human being. A lot of times people are just trying to put their kids in the best schools they can and give them a buffer between these hungry savages over here in Lee County, and just surround their family with walls, gates, and safety and security and distance between people who could harm their little precious souls. Ironically, I have seen children that have grown up in the wealth and ambiance of Naples grow up to be completely useless specimens of a human being. It's almost like the parents are like, well, I bought you $1 million house, that's it, I can go play golf, and they forget that their family needs love, attention, and just kind of guidance, not just a brand new $60,000 car when they go to high school. You can't buy parenting, and it seems like regardless of how much money people down there have, they still can't figure out how to be a decent human being, practically. And Naples used to be a place where it was just nothing but old people, and the kids that were there were really privileged, and I had that privilege to grow up in a place that basically was for old rich white people, and here I am as a young kid just living in a place where basically was out of your league. Anyways, regardless, today a lot of younger people are moving their families to Naples because of the low crime, but they don't realize that when all of them moved there, they kind of changed it, and now it's not a place for old people. It's a place for rich, spoiled kids to do whatever the crap they want because their parents can't tell them crap, they're rich, son. So which area has the best potential for growth? Clearly, Fort Myers has a lot of land to expand and also less regulations. Lee County seems to be an easier place to build and pull permits. The labor force is more accessible, unlike Naples, where the people have to come in all the way from Lee County. Take Lehigh Acres, for example, where there's probably more vacant land than there are developed sites, which means that there's really a lot of space for areas to expand. Other parts of Lee County, like Fort Myers and Cape Coral, are almost completely built up. And Lee County is one of the fastest growing places in the country, with some of the most permits being pulled currently, in particular Lehigh Acres, Fort Myers, and also Cape Coral. The county north of us here in Punta Gorda, they're actually leading the nation right now in permits for new construction of single family homes. So it is definitely a growing area, nation leading. So let's talk about the hood, dog. Let's talk about Fort Myers being more hood than Naples. Believe it or not, a lot of people actually do like these urban inner city vibes. Not everybody wants to live in a fancy place. A lot of people actually just enjoy living in the hood and doing hood rat stuff with their friends. As I travel across America, I find that this hood life is actually a massive percentage of the people in this country. Talking from the desert southwest to the deep south to the northeast to the midwest, everywhere we go in America, people like the hood life, and a lot of people actually like, living in those environments, and just people being out and about walking and getting robbed and getting shot. A lot of people actually enjoy doing hood rat stuff with their friends, and you're gonna find more of that in Lee County, places like Lehigh Acres, Fort Myers, North Fort Myers. These areas have those urban vibes that a lot of people actually enjoy. Some people like living in the city. Not everybody wants to be in the suburbs or a fancy area. Some people just like being in the hood, dog. And if you're looking for that, you're talking like ethnic restaurants, the whole package. It's much more present in Lee County. And there's also a level of redneckery in Lee County that you don't have in Naples. Naples is more reserved, more elegant. Lehigh is more casual, more laid back. So if you're more into those types of vibes and environments, then you'll definitely feel more comfortable in Lehigh around normal people somewhere in Lee County or Fort Myers than you will in Naples, where everybody just thinks that they're like some rich snob. And surprisingly, when you talk about Lee County, Lehigh has been on the constant come up. This place has really beat the odds. They're paving more roads. They keep building more houses. Lots are appreciating incredibly. It's been a great investment for a lot of people. So Lee County is on the come up, and a lot of times people sleep on how places that are normal can have a much better come up than places that seem to be really wealthy, and they'll have a much better appreciation. It almost seems like the lower demographics economically have been able to improve their day-to-day life, and they've been able to move into more suburban places, which has just scared suburban people and having to move into more expensive places, which has made housing more expensive for everybody, and that's happening all over the United States. In Lee County, you're going to get a little bit of more of normality, like I said, and just some of those vibes and hood environments, and just places like Fort Myers Beach, which isn't really a fancy beach, it's just a trashy beach. But some people like being trashy, bro. What's wrong with that? Maybe somebody wants to be on the Cops TV show. Who knows? Some people just like the hood. And if you're looking for that type of normal, and it's normal for a lot of people, especially if they're coming from other places, you're not going to find that in Naples. So who's got the best food? Naples or Fort Myers? Well, guess what? Surprisingly, Naples wins. There's a lot of wealthy people, and there's a lot of specialty restaurants. Even though Lee County is a more diverse place, you would almost think that Lee County would have better food. It turns out that Naples is by far superior when it comes to restaurants. There's so many bistros and specialty restaurants. Rich people can really afford to pay for whatever the crap they want. And food is just one of those luxuries of life that you get in Naples. And on this channel, we talk about food a lot because being from Naples, you're just always around this ambiance. And part of ambiance and wealth is eating whatever the crap you want. So despite the fact that Lee County has more diversity, you would almost think that they would win this category. Naples takes it. The only category where Lee County really beats Naples is barbecue. Barbecue in Naples really doesn't have too many good specimens, but when it comes to ethnic, bistros, and anything fancy, by far Naples has better restaurants. And what is strange is that I always assumed growing up in Naples that our food was bad because it's just a bland place. And I didn't take note that there were so many good options in Naples when it came to food. I just assumed that food in Naples sucked because of the diversity of the place was limited. But in reality, Naples really does have good food. Now that we're able to travel more, I can better appreciate how good Naples has it when it comes to food. Alright, so when it comes to beaches, undoubtedly Naples has to win. The beaches of Naples are known throughout the entire world, and both counties, to be fair, have incredibly awesome beaches. It might just come down to your personal preference. I would just say Naples is much better because it's a nice long stretch of white sand, and Lee County is kind of more spread out with different areas you have to get into. And in Naples, it's just one long continuous beach. Definitely not the best beaches in the entire state for water clarity. What really makes Naples special, and Lee County as well, is the white sand, great shelling, lots of nature, and plenty of backwaters for those people who enjoy more than just the sand, for people who like the actual nature aspect of the beach. In that category, it wins. And the Naples Pier, of course, is iconic, which means Naples had to win this category. Alright, so there it is. We just compared Fort Myers to Naples. Two places that seemingly are very similar, but we've been able to break down that they're two unique and different cities with completely different things going on. Fort Myers has a lot of diversity, it has affordability, and it's a more normal place for you to settle down. Naples is catering specifically to the wealthy, and that means it's a place with access to incredible amenities and beautiful nature, but then you also have to deal with people that have a stick up their butt and are entitled and feel like they're better than everybody else. I would say if you're a little bit above the $500,000 mark, I would almost assure you that Naples is a much better option. With better schools and less crime, to be honest, crime has been increasing everywhere in the United States, and affluent communities are by far no longer free from this plague of society. Once you obtain wealth, the safety and the security of the people you love becomes your priority, and you just don't want to deal with any of the crap related to people and all their problems. You just want to isolate yourself from all those things. And if you have a little bit more money, Naples would be a much better fit for you. Now, I live in Lee County, and there's a lot of things that I enjoy about Lee County. One of them is the fact that I can ride my ATV through some parts that are less populated. I just have a little bit more freedom. I can play my music as loud as I want. Just a little bit of hood rat crap that I have going on in my life that I enjoy. Things that would definitely not fly in Naples. A lot of cities will have an area that's wealthy, or a section of town or a side of town that's wealthy. What you need to understand about Naples, it's like the whole town is wealthy. Like most places, the wealthy parts are the smallest neighborhood. In Naples, the poor parts are the smallest neighborhood. And even the poor parts require a certain level of economical mobility because even those areas are not affordable. I was going to have a category for traffic. I'll usually have the traffic category when I compare cities, but it's really going to depend on how your day-to-day life is going to go. And therefore, I don't have a category for traffic because if you live in Lee County like I do, I live in an area where I don't have any traffic at all. But if I were to go to Naples to commute, then I would be stuck in 2 hours of traffic every day. So it's just going to depend on your particular circumstance with how much traffic you're going to deal with. Traffic in Naples and Fort Myers is seasonal. In the wintertime, when everybody comes down to Florida, it's absolutely a nightmare. And in the summertime, it's more bearable. Most of Naples is centered around tourism and services to wealthy people, and Lee County is more industrial. Me, when I lived in Naples, I used to have to come to Lee County almost twice a week because I was doing construction and labor type things, and all of the amenities that I needed for working, like landfills and scrapyards, were all up here in Fort Myers. None of that was in Naples, so it was weird how most people in Lee County commute into Naples, and when I lived in Naples, I had to do the opposite. But now that I live in Lee County, I'm closer to those things, there's so little people needing those services that it's useless. So it's a very weird combination of metropolitan areas, where in Naples, it's more of the service base and Fort Myers is more industrial. My advice would be to anyone with the money in the bag to go with Naples. And if you work a service type, self-employed type of business, consider ending up in Naples as well, because I have not been able to get as many customers here as I did in Naples. Despite Lee County having a larger population, in Naples you'll have better, easy access to amenities and shopping. I know it doesn't make a lot of sense, but that's really the way it is down here. When I lived in Naples, I had incredibly fast internet. I could walk to restaurants. I really wish I could get that back right now. It takes Katie an hour to get to Starbucks and back where we live now. And also, I can't get internet. I'm on a hotspot. I really had a lot of good things going for me in Naples as far as infrastructure, and I never really appreciated those things until now that I see myself without them. Both areas have grown and have really skipped on infrastructure. A lot of it's been focused on single family home construction, and that doesn't really lead to very good economical prospects in the future. You'll go to small places that are rural, but they'll have a very strong economy. There'll be a lot of factories, options for people looking for work. Down here, it's all service and tourism, and it makes living down here very difficult. So if you're moving to this area, I really recommend that you have at least $300,000 if you're coming to Lee County, and at least $500,000 to $700,000 if you're thinking about Naples, because life down here really is that difficult. You spend a lot of money, and it suddenly comes across as an easy profit. It's a very difficult place to make a living, and that is why the rich people want to be here, because they feel they're isolated from regular folks.